Hi everyone, Christina here. Welcome to day 21 of the holiday card series for 2018. Today's card started out in like a really different place, and then halfway through it kind of took a turn and I changed it quite a bit. So I'm going to try to leave most of that footage in so you can kind of see the journey of how this card came to be. But eventually at the end, I really love how it turned out. So let's get into it. So today's card design starts midway through the creation of a different card design. So I started out wanting to create a background to go behind this colored cat image. So I'm going to be watercoloring with Mission Gold paints, these watercolors, and I've got some Fabriano Artistico extra white watercolor paper. This is a 5x7 block, so it's gummed on all four sides, and since I was just going to be painting this whole background, I decided not to remove it from the block and tape it down to a separate surface. This is always an option when you work on a blocked paper like this because all of the edges are gummed together, so you'll be able to get a flat, finished piece when you leave it on a block like this. So I wet the entire area of that paper, and I did this because I want all of the paints that I add to my picture here, I want them to be very soft and have the edges sort of wick away. So you want to wet your paper for that. So I started with a nice leaf green shade, and then I came in with a little bit of a darker blue-green shade, and I'm mixing those together. I then brought in a blue. This is almost like a more tealish green blue. And at this point, I realized the colors weren't mixing as much as I wanted them to, so I sprayed them with a spray bottle. This is a Tim Holtz Distress sprayer. You could use any type of spray bottle. And I liked how it got all the colors mixing in the center, but it did overspray and add a little bit of that green spray beyond the color area. And I wasn't such a big fan of that because I wanted the area behind the cat image to just have a really organic, soft shape, and I didn't really want those splatters. So at this point, I was starting to doubt myself with this particular design. And I even brought in that cat stamp, and I wanted to make sure, like, okay, do I like it? Do I not like it? I was kind of like, the colors look like they might be a little bit off. I'm not sure yet, but I feel like it needed something. So I brought in a stencil from Honeybee. This is a set of 4 stencils. It's the polka dot backgrounds. And this stencil set is totally up my alley. I love these. You guys know I love polka dots and I love polka dot stencils. So there's 4 different sizes of polka dots. And I decided to go with the second to largest, or actually no, I went down with the second smallest. And I taped that down to my watercolor paper. And then I brought in a Versamark ink pad and smushed that down right over the stencil. This is going to add that ink into all those dot areas. I then removed the stencil and sprinkled on some embossing powder. I'm using some antique gold embossing powder from Simon Says Stamp, and I just have a coffee filter to catch all of that embossing powder as I work. So I sprinkled that on over the entire area. And then I bent the paper so that I could funnel it back into that, into the coffee filter. And at this point, I realized that I wanted a little more organic edges to the embossing. So I came in with a dry brush and just started kind of brushing away really randomly. I wanted it to have a really rough edge. I didn't want those circles to be absolutely perfect. So then I brought in my heat tool and heat set this until all of that metallic embossing powder was melted. And you can definitely tell when it's melted because the color changes and you get that shiny surface. So I checked one more time with that cat image and I just was not feeling it. I thought, well, maybe it's the colors. Maybe I'll just swap out the colors, change it to a different color on the cat in the box. So I changed it to blue and green, and I did like it a little bit better, but it still wasn't my favorite, and I was debating back and forth between these two, and then I decided, you know what, maybe I'm just not feeling the cat image today. So I decided I'll save this for another card. You might see those in a different holiday card series video, I'm not sure. They're still sitting on my craft desk. But I grabbed these dies from Honeybee. These are the Fa La La dies. And I'm going to cut the shadow area out of vellum and the main greeting out of some white cardstock. And then I used some Gina K Connect glue and just put little tiny dots of glue all along the word Mary and then pressed it down onto that vellum area. Now this is a really delicate die cut, and so it can stretch out and kind of morph and change a little bit, which isn't an issue unless you're using the shadow area with it. And in that case, like for mine, you have to use your tweezers or your fingertips to kind of manipulate it back into its original shape. So after I had that vellum piece all prepared, I prepped my card base. I made that card base out of some Nina Classic Crest Solar White cardstock. This is the 110-pound version, and I just scored that at 5.5 to create a side folding card. Now my watercolor piece, I actually trimmed it down earlier to 5.25, so I had to trim my card base too. And now I'm taking some Basil Peanut Fudge cardstock, and I'm going to be stamping a sentiment from the Mama Elephant Holiday Messages stamp set. I'm putting it down near the bottom, and then I'll prep that area with an anti-static powder tool before I stamp. I'm going to be using that same gold embossing powder, so I'm going to stamp in Versamark ink, and then I can apply the embossing powder over the top. So I'm going to sprinkle that embossing powder on and tap the cardstock really well to get any excess off, and then heat set that with my heat tool. And then use my paper trimmer to trim that down to a very narrow strip. And then it was time to assemble my card. So I put some foam tape behind the watercolor piece and put it directly onto that card front, a little bit more near the bottom. And then I took a narrow strip of foam tape from Darice and applied that to the back of my greeting strip. And then for the actual big greeting, I cut the foamed strips down to itty bitty narrow squares, and I just added a couple of these onto that die cut word just so that it would stand up from the surface of the card just a little bit. And then I put that same connect glue just on the very bottom of the letter Y and also the M where it attaches to that brown narrow strip. And that's the card for today. Definitely ended up a lot different than how I originally planned. I hope you guys enjoyed the whole journey of getting to the end of that card. I love how it turned out in the end, and I think it was worth kind of salvaging what I'd already created to create something new. So before you go, please let me know if you love this video by giving it a big thumbs up and share it with a friend if you'd like to. You can subscribe and hit that notification bell as well. On screen right now, I've got 2 more videos for you to check out. These are the day 21 videos for the years 2017 and 2016. And if you want to see the day 21 video from years past in the holiday card series, I'll have those listed down below as well. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys on Friday. Yes, the day after Thanksgiving for us here in the United States. I will be back on Friday with day 22. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys then.